he started PayPal, when he was doing PayPal, then I thought, well, it's ridiculous. You can't send money through an email. It's like the dumbest thing ever. Can you imagine? And then I said, wow, this is great. Then I said, I need to send money to my mom in Canada. So then it became international. I think it's my fault. I don't know if it was me who made him do it, but he certainly had to do it for me. And then when after PayPal was sold, he said, should I do space rockets, or should I do solar panels, or should I do electric cars? And I said, you just do one thing. And he didn't listen to me.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a really special, fun episode of the Mind Valley podcast. So firstly, we are recording this in front of close to 400 people live. Our guest today I'm so excited to interview this woman, Maye Musk. Maye's new book, A Woman Makes a Plan, just got released. Maye is 72 years old. She is the world's oldest supermodel. At 71, she was the CoverGirl brand's oldest model. She is a force to reckon with. She was a born adventurer. Her book is so absorbing. I started reading it today. I'm already at chapter 10, and I'm in the middle of a workday. And I am so delighted to have you join us. Now, for those of people who may not know Maye Musk, I bet you have heard of her children, Tosca Musk, the filmmaker, Kimball Musk, the restaurateur, and Elon Musk, who is today probably the most famous entrepreneur in the world. So this interview is going to go into many different directions, and I'm recording it from my home. I'm here in Estonia, and coincidentally today, my mother is visiting. Mom, come and say hi. So my mom is over here. So this is so cool. Seeing mom come closer so the camera can focus on you.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Great areas. Yeah.
Well, we have something in common.
Seeing Maye Musk and my mom meet, this is so much fun. So mom, you can have a seat over there, and you're welcome to watch. And mom, if you have any questions, if you have any questions, that'll be great as well. Okay.
I love the title of your book.
Yeah, I'm going to get you a copy of the book. Yeah. So mom, I'm going to move you to this side. You can sit on this chair.
It's a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. We're in a standing desk. Okay. So
did you say you're in Estonia?
Yes, I'm in Estonia.
That's fantastic. Tallinn is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen.
Really, it is. So I was married to an Estonian, and we decided to move here in the middle of the pandemic. So my kids go to school here. Tallinn is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. If you're Estonian, say hi. When were you here, Maye? What brought you to Tallinn?
About 10 years ago, I went to a wedding in Finland, in Helsinki, and then we took a boat over. So that was fantastic. I mean, it was a big surprise. It was like a fairyland.
I know it is, isn't it? So I live right in the old town. Like literally you walk out of my apartment and we're at the center of the fairyland, and the world's biggest Christmas tree is just outside. So Maye, you just gave me the perfect opening line for the interview. You took a boat over. And let's start there, because one of the most intriguing things about your life when I was reading your book is how you were born to a couple that were adventurers, and they hopped on a boat and sailed from Canada to South Africa. And that adventuring never stopped. You grew up exploring the deserts of South Africa, looking for lost cities. When you were 6 years old, your parents attempted to fly a plane to Australia and back 30,000 miles. Tell us about that sense of adventure growing up and what it infused in you.
Well, we were, Canadians, and can you imagine in 1950 to come over? We had to come over in a cargo ship because my dad had removed the wings from his plane. He had a single engine canvas plane, a Belanca. He'd already explored America, the USA and Canada. So now he wanted to explore other places we barely heard of. Remember, there's no internet. And so then we went to South Africa, and then he put the wings back on the plane, and we got on the plane to fly up to Johannesburg, because that's what they said. In Cape Town, they said, Johannesburg, they speak English, and Pretoria, they speak Afrikaans. So you can't go to Pretoria. But when we went across Pretoria, it was jacaranda time. Have you ever seen the jacarandas in any country?
No, it's a beautiful flowering tree, correct?
Yes, lilac flowers lined the streets. And my dad had never seen anything so beautiful because Saskatchewan was kind of flat wheat country, farming country, very flat. And here we had little hills with these beautiful lilac blossoms. And he said, we're going to land here. And he landed there. And that's where we found our home and started from there. Then we went looking, they were researching the Kalahari Desert, and they also did the Cape to Algiers rally. They were co-winners of that. Can you imagine going from Cape Town to Algeria? All right. But then the big trip was, and they're the only people in the world to have done it, is to get in the small canvas plane, and then with a propeller plane and with a compass, but there's no radio. And even if there was radio, the airports they landed in didn't have radio. And they didn't speak English. So it wasn't like they needed a radio. Then they went up Africa, across Arabia and Asia, then across the sea to Australia, and then back. And I don't know how many times you've been in a single engine prop plane, but it's pretty tiring because it's not comfortable.
So they were flying. They were flying a plane by themselves with nothing more than a compass, no radio, nothing, no modern technology. And it was you, your twin sister, Faye.
No, we didn't go with them. We didn't go with them because the back of the plane, they had to put the gas tanks, the petrol tanks, because they couldn't get across the sea without refueling on the way.
I see.
We were left behind on that trip, definitely. We went to the Kalahari Desert, though, every July.
So I see how I see how in your family line there's been this sense of adventure. Now, one of the other things I found really interesting was the explorations of the desert, hunting for this lost city, traveling into a desert for 3 weeks and making do no matter what happened. Tell us about that.
Well, we were kids and all our friends would go to the beaches. We had to go to the Kalahari Desert because my dad had read the book by Farini, which said there's a lost city, but Farini had found it in the 1800s. He'd found it by ox wagon. So my dad said, well, if we follow what he did, but we kind of calculate the mistakes he could have made with his compass, as well as how long it takes an ox wagon, we'll go across the desert. So when you go across the desert, you actually have to have permission, and they from this small town of one house, to get to anywhere in the desert, because of course, if you get lost, they have to send the camel patrol out to find. If you don't return in 3 weeks, they have to come and search for you and follow your tracks. Did you say it's called the camel patrol? Yes, they had camels, and I have a photo of three Bechuanaland policemen, really, on camels. Yes. Now, do you think that there was something? I was really curious about this reading your book. Do you think there was something about that adventuring that your parents had that you later picked up and then infused into your children? Can an attitude like that be passed on down the generational line? It seems that way because my dad had said when we went into the Kalahari Desert, he wanted to show we can rough it, So we would sleep, on the ground with a sleeping bag, and then you zip up the sleeping bag so the hyenas don't bite off your face. And then we had 1 cup of water. My twin sister and I shared it, where we could wash our hands and face in at night. And then in the morning it was frozen. So we'd have to break the ice and then wash our hands and face. So you can live with very little. And so that's why, as I say in my book, when I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment while I was continuing my studies, and my kids were in the bedroom and I was in the living room kitchen, and it only cost me 77 rands a month, which was like $77 a month. But again, it was early 1980s. And it was, we didn't have a problem with it. My children never complained. And they even said it was quite fun, So, and you could get secondhand school uniforms, and there's many ways. And then Tosca was working in Toronto at a supermarket. And they would give special discount to the staff when the food is best by date. In other words, if they have to sell it the next day, and so they could sell it to the staff for 50%. So then you had a variety of food that we could get at 50% off because it was past the best by date. And you figure out things.
So connecting the dots, there's something really interesting about what you just shared. I love the humbleness of your upbringing and how you passed it on to your kid. So those of you who are listening, as I'm reading A Woman Makes a Plan, there's a very intriguing story about May, about how when she got her first paycheck, the first thing you bought was a carpet because you had no chairs in your apartment. So you just got a carpet so your kids could be comfortable. And then the second thing you bought was a computer for Elon and Kimball to sit on the carpet and play with that computer. The bareness of the upbringing is astonishing to me. And it reminds me of an interview I heard your son, Elon, give to Neil deGrasse Tyson in Neil's famous podcast. And Elon said something about how he wanted to see if he could live on $1 a day. And he found that living in an American dormitory, he could live in $1 a day. He'd just go buy ramen noodles and he could survive. And he said that after he realized he could literally survive and not die on $1 a day, it gave him the courage to do all of the other epic things he did in his life.
Yeah, I know. All my children have a survival skill that way. And, the thing is when you are trying to survive, then you don't go to the hairdresser. You have to cut your own hair. And I cut my children's hair. And I always said, thank goodness we didn't have a mirror so they could see the back of their heads, because I'm a bad I mean, I wish I could cut my hair now. It's already getting on. But this COVID hair, And so you can do without luxuries. And funny enough, when my brothers and my twin sister read my book, they said, we didn't know you were struggling. You never complained. You never asked for money. I said, well, what would I ask for money for? To go to the movies or go out for dinner? Those are luxuries. I would ask if I needed it to pay the rent or to pay the schooling, then I would have come to them. But the public schools were very inexpensive in South Africa. And in Canada too. So I didn't really need money for that. And, and secondhand school uniforms were very inexpensive. So it wasn't, I didn't need money. I only needed it for luxuries, and I can do without luxuries. I was working too hard anyway to even go out for dinner.
So this is the big question then I'd love to ask you, because I'd love to understand how you now view this with your 12 grandchildren. It's 12 still, right?
Yes.
So
this week.
So your kids are all now incredibly successful. Elon Musk is the third richest man in the world, right? And Elon has 5 kids. It seems to me that the method in which you
were raised. 6 kids.
He has 6 kids now, right? How do you ensure that your grandchildren who are born in luxury, in wealth, still have that survival instinct?
My grandkids are really well behaved and they aren't entitled. And if I hear any cheekiness at all, I will catch them right away. I will not tolerate disrespect or selfishness or being mean. I just jump right in on that. But the point is they're really nice kids, and I love it when we have all 12 kids and the oldest and the youngest play together, and there's no meanness there, and I like that. Makes me happy.
In your book, you wrote about how you insist on spending 30 minutes one-on-one with each grandkid every week.
Yeah, that was when I first moved to LA. Can you imagine 5 boys? And they can be pretty raucous. I had 2, and that was a handful. So then I just took 30 minutes with each one to show that they need to be polite at dinner and not to talk over each other. And then I also wanted to get to know them better, because I'd moved to Los Angeles to be near my grandchildren. My daughter had twins and she needed me here. So from New York, I moved here, but I'm going back to New York. I'm moving back because Elon has moved to Texas. Tosca's moving to Georgia. I'm in Los Angeles for my grandchildren and my children, and I don't have to be here, so I can start all over again.
Are you excited about New York?
Very excited.
Are you still modeling in New York?
Yeah, well, I model all over the world. I was modeling all over the world, but I have a big job tomorrow. I can't, can't tell what it is until till it comes out, because everything's top secret until it comes out. But and it's for Italy, so it's a job for Italy, but in Los Angeles, a fashion magazine, and it's just very limited now because there's just very few people on set. They all wear masks. They all do COVID tests, and but the creativity is there. And some of the designers, a lot of the designers are sending fabulous clothes for me to wear, which is fantastic considering I'm 72.
That's amazing. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions on that. But first, we have a leading question from Irina Shehosov. So Irina, I'm gonna make you a panelist. I'm gonna give you a chance to come on live, turn on your webcam, and ask the question directly to Maye and interact with Maye, okay? I'm gonna ask Irina to take over for a moment. I like to do this, Maye, to allow our audience members to step on stage and interact with these guests like you that they're so excited to interact with. So guys, please give some support to Irina. Irina, you're about to come on and interview Maye Musk. Okay, trust you got your webcam ready. I'm now making you a panelist. And Irina, whenever you're ready. Hi, Irina.
Hello. Hello. Hi, Maye. Thank you, Vishen, for making the fun. It's amazing. So my question is, what is the most important trait you want to instill in a child?
Well, first of all, where are you from?
I am from New York, and I'm a single mom of 2 kids.
And your accent is from where?
Russian.
Spasibo. That's mainly I don't know too much. But my book's a bestseller in Russia. And what do I instill mainly? I like them to be considerate of others. Mm-hmm. Don't always think of yourself, People are very entitled. So let them just be kind to others.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maye, let's pick up on that. Kindness, right? Kindness. Yes. So many, your children aren't just building businesses. Your children are building businesses that are actually, in a way, healing the world, right?
Yes. I mean, they're doing what I consider they're doing good things for other people.
Yes, they're doing good things. Like Elon wants to move the world beyond a carbon economy. He wants to back up the human species by colonizing Mars. Kimball is doing so much good work in terms of organic farming and farm to table.
And Kimball's also doing vegetable gardens in underserved schools, because these children don't have access to fruits and vegetables and have never eaten them. So he's already built 650 gardens in schools, and he has a team then that come in every week and teach the children to plant the seeds, water them. Wow. When they pull, say, the carrots out of the garden, they are so excited because they can't believe it. And the funny thing is, getting kids excited about vegetables makes me so happy because I'm a dietitian. But that's his. Unfortunately, the schools are closed, so we'll have to start again once they open.
So Irina, thank you so much for your question. I'm gonna make you an attendee. Thank you for stepping up on stage. And Maye, I'd love to ask you this: how do you install kindness and care in a child?
Well, I think I was in a nurturing profession where I helped people to eat well. I had always my practice at home, and then only after the children left home did I have an office away from my home. But they saw that people would come and see me, and then when they eat better, they're happier and they're healthier. And you could see that you're caring about other people. And then my parents were Canadians. They cared about everybody too. My dad was a chiropractor. He kept people in better health. And I don't know why, but my kids are the same. They care. They find a goal that will help mankind, or help, like Tosca with her movies, her Passionflix app or platform it's called, where she has romance movies where the men and women get the same pay, and the female directors, and they romance stories with happy endings, so that the women here are not abused, tortured, violated. They are intelligent, successful, and but drama. There's drama because it's a love story. And then she also teaches men how to be romantic. I think men should watch her movies.
Through her movies?
Yes, so they should watch her movies on Passionflix because it teaches, she says when she's on set, she teaches a man how to just touch a woman's face. I mean, that's better than grabbing her and gripping her. Just touch her face gently and she will be, fall in love with you.
That's so cool. So I want you guys, if you have an iPhone, just Google, remind yourself to Google Tosca Musk, and Google will show you a list of all her movies, like Driven, Hollywood Dirt, The Matchmaker, Afterburn, Aftershock, A Kind of Magic. And they are all beautiful romantic movies that actually teach people how to be in healthy relationships. So it's really, really, really cool. Now, Mom, as you're listening to May, do you have a question that you would ask May?
I'm just wondering.
Mom, step up. Come up here.
I'm listening
Okay.
to you and just wondering, how do you do all that? You look so beautiful.
One what?
How do you do all this? Good food, dietitian, you're a writer, you're a model at 72.
Starting
Wow.
business in 8 cities and 3 countries.
And now I start my business in back to New York, so the 9th city. Yes, starting your own business in a new city or a new country, I don't recommend it. It's really hard. And in the beginning, you're really struggling to get out there. I'm very well organized. And I used to sometimes overdo things, but now I don't. For example, I'm speaking to you, then I only have 3 other interviews today.
Only 3 other interviews today.
Germany, China, that type of thing, because my book went international. But I space things out well. As a dietitian, I had to book my clients every half an hour. So I was always on time for that. And my dad also said that you need to be 5 minutes early to show respect for the other person.
Right.
So I'm always early, and even for this, I was.
I do want to point that out. I do want to point that out. May was early by several minutes.
And so then I plan my days well, and then when other things come up, then I plan it again. I mean, that's why I say a woman makes a plan, but it's actually a man needs to make a plan too. But that's what my editors thought, that's what they got from my book. And the thing is, I do plan my days, but things go different and wrong. And then you plan again so that you get towards a place where you are in a good situation. So you can't take on too much, and then you space it out. And that I've become very good at, but I'm 72. At long last, I'm good at it. I went through many struggles in my life where things where I didn't get out of a bad situation quick enough. And so I suffered and I had a lot of pain.
So May, that leads to a question, Mom, very related to what you asked, right? May, I'm going to talk about some of the darker parts of the book in a moment, but you were once a plus size model. Then you went deep in nutrition and you transformed your health. What is your secret? What would be some of the biggest tips to people here who are listening?
Well, first of all, I got my first degree, my Bachelor of Science degree at 21. All right. Then when in my early 30s, I was divorced and I had the opportunity to study at a university, and I did my Master of Science degree. But I had also gained 65 pounds, that's about 30 kilograms. And I'd been through, I'd had a fiance and he got another model pregnant and they moved in next door to me, and I was very sad. So I ate my way through that lot, and I just ate I love sweet foods. So I'd have 3 desserts. I love burgers and fries. I would have fried chicken. I love chocolate, and I would just pile it on. And I thought at some stage I will stop gaining weight. But I didn't. I just kept on going up in weight. And then the weird thing was that plus size modeling became a thing in the 80s. And I was the first plus size model in South Africa. I didn't want to model as a plus size, but I needed the income and it paid well. And I represented some brands that were doing plus size clothes. So then as a dietitian, but I would still lecture as a dietitian, still see patients. And I would say to them, you do what I tell you to do, but don't do what I do. That's how I had to do it. But then when I got to around 40 years of age, my cholesterol went up and my knees and my back were hurting. And I could either go on drugs and painkillers, or I had to get my weight under control. So then I lost the weight, 30 kilograms, by eating very well every day. I would not budge. You could put cakes and chocolates in front of me. I would not touch it because I wanted to be in good health. I didn't want to, I had 3 kids. I had to be in good health. I would get more work if I was like a size 6 model. I don't know what the sizes are in Estonia or Europe. It's probably a size 8 in Europe.
The same.
But, it's a size 6 is not a size 0 like many models are, but then I didn't need to be. I was already in my 40s. All right. So, and I was a standard catalog model. That's the standard size for a catalog model. And so that really helped when I moved to Canada, to Toronto, and my funds were blocked in South Africa. So then I could be a standard size 6. And that got me a lot of work. And, I had to survive. But even now, it's so hard for me. I have to watch. I think I've got now the COVID-5, which means I've gained 5 pounds this year, which is, I've been as good as I can. But then, bring me a tub of ice cream and I can finish it.
I think we can all relate to that.
Huh?
Which is funny because I was just offering my mom ice cream, like 4 tubs of ice cream. I'm like, Mom,
I love ice cream. I love ice cream.
Are you in Marina Del Rey now?
Yeah, I'm still, I'm in Los Angeles, but I'll be moving to New York next month.
That's fun. New York it must be great to be going back to New York.
My friends are so excited. Of course, when I said I was going to move back, they all found apartments next door to them. But then none of them were suitable for me and my dog. Where's my dog gone?
He was just trying to get close behind you.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the same color as the couch.
So thank you, Mom.
Okay.
So
Lovely to see you.
Lovely seeing you.
So cute. I'm so excited that my mom got to meet Elon's mom. This
Thank
is cool.
Yeah.
And this is my mom's first appearance in the Mind Valley podcast,
Yes.
right? She's visiting me in
I'm
Estonia.
honored.
Yeah.
I'm so honored. That's wonderful. Thank you. That's great.
So May, I wanna come to some of the chapter 9 of your book.
Like my can you read it?
Love that. So in chapter 9, you talk about the pain you went through in your marriage to Elon's dad. And I'm not asking you to share that because it's in the book. I'd encourage people to read the book. It's gripping. But what I found intriguing is you mentioned how you kept feeling that there was no way out. There was no way out, that there was always a way out. And you mentioned if anybody is in this sort of situation, you have to escape. I'd love for you to talk about pain and the role pain plays in creating more, in transformation. Now, the reason I want to ask you this is because in 2010, I went to visit SpaceX and I met Elon. So I got to, so we were in a boardroom and I asked your son a question. And his answer was really interesting. I said, Elon, if I were to take you and put you in a blender and distill you and extract your essence, right? The essence of Elon Musk as a distillate that anybody could take a drop off and become like you. It was meant to be a joke question, but Elon answered and he said, my essence, I think if you could distill me down, the one thing that makes me unique is that I have a high tolerance for pain. And that was really intriguing. I've never heard anyone say that. Most people would say, oh, vision or drive, but he said high tolerance for pain. And your book also talks about pain. I'd love for you to talk about pain and how your family has been channeling that for good and for self-transformation.
Yes, well, as I say, my marriage was painful physically and mentally. And anyone in an abusive relationship will relate. And it seems like there are many women, mainly women, I haven't had many men saying that they are upset that their wife's abusive. Actually, I haven't heard that at all. But I have heard women who are really suffering and they cannot get out. They just don't see a way to get out. And then when they read my book, they say there's some hope for them. There's inspiration. And the thing is, when you are in that situation, first of all, you have no confidence. I mean, I think I was told 3 times a day that I'm ugly, stupid, and boring, and that's why we don't have friends. And then, but in my mind, I once said to him that I can't be ugly. I won beauty competitions, and I can't be stupid because I have a Bachelor of Science degree, and maybe I'm boring, but I can't help it that I'm boring. Well, then he just beat me up. So then the more you object to what they say, the more you get beaten up. And it's very painful. But you know, this I never told him, is that if you hit the same spot, after the 3rd hit, you can't feel anything because your skin goes numb. And so he could carry on hitting and it wasn't painful. So, shouldn't really talk about this. The memories. Anyway, but now other women are in worse situations than me. They don't have my education, and their husbands are even more violent. And so some women are killed and tortured and locked up. I mean, they're in worse situations. I wasn't in that situation. I did have a great family. I could have run away and stayed with them, but then I was scared he would attack them. And also, you know, I wanted to do it on my own. And actually, my family didn't even know about it until, as I say, my 2 brothers and my sister read about it. And they said, you could have come to us. And I said, I was taking responsibility for my own choices. And I'd made a really bad choice, but a great sperm donor, you have to admit. I have 3 fabulous kids. I mean, can you believe that? Who knew there was such a thing? So I said, out of that marriage, I got 3 wonderful children, and they were always good to me and kind and hardworking and supportive. So that was that. So I had a huge advantage over many women who don't have that. But you can't get up every morning in an unhappy situation and know that will never end, because that's how I was at the time. And I thought it will never end until they changed the laws in South Africa, and I could get divorced for irretrievable breakdown of marriage. Before that, a woman can't divorce her husband because he beat you up. It was quite misogynistic over there. You know, men, it was accepted. And so then, and even now, I believe it's even worse now, because I get, you know, DMs on Instagram telling me that. So that's how the situation's quite bad there now. But then it seems now that my book has gone worldwide and it's a bestseller in countries like China, Taiwan, Russia, Turkey, South Africa. Then you realize that women are really relating to the abusive chapter.
Yeah, I know, that's a beautiful chapter. And I just want to urge all of you listening to this in the podcast, read this book. I would recommend this book for anyone out there. I was planning on skimming through it. We'd done all the research and questions to ask you. Your team had given us some suggested questions. But as I picked up the book, I couldn't put it down for an hour. I made it all the way to like chapter 10. And then I got on a call with you, but I had to pause when I read that chapter about the abuse, because it is striking. And so we don't want to talk about it right now, but I do want to encourage that people read the book because you are so raw and vulnerable. Now,
yes, I wanted the chapter taken out, but as I say, my editors wouldn't do that. And Elon, Kimball, and Tosca said, yeah, it's actually much worse, but it needs to be there. You've got to keep it there.
Yeah, I know. But you know, one thing I wanted to ask is, you got divorced after 9 years, I believe in 1979. And 2 years after that, Elon went to live with his dad.
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
Well, it was very sad for me, but the thing is, my ex-mother-in-law was a witch. I mean, so some of you are going to say, yeah, I had a dreadful ex-mother-in-law, and she convinced Elon that it's unfair that I have 3 children and lots of friends and a happy family, and he has no friends, no children, and miserable. But really, she wanted the kids. It wasn't that he wanted it. And Elon believes in fairness, and he could see her point, and she was good to him. And so then he did move, but then the point is he got a computer, whereas I could never, I barely could afford bread, never mind a computer. So then that ended up being good because he spent most of the time on the computer, and then published his first, he wrote his first computer program at 12, and then 13 published. Well, at 12, he showed it to me, and I was at the university then doing my Master of Science degree, and I showed it to the engineering students. Funny enough, I had a modeling school as well while I was doing my Master of Science degree. It was raising funds for the Dietetic Scholarship Fund. And so men were doing the modeling course too. And I think it's because they were pretty girls, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I showed the engineering students, they said, oh, he knows all the shortcuts. So I said to Elon, you should submit it for to a magazine, a computer magazine. And he did. I don't think they knew he was 12 at the time. It was published when he was 13, and he got 500 Rand, which is like $500.
And it got published.
Okay, so,
right.
So you see, in the end, then I started seeing the kids then Kimball missed Elon. So then 5 years later, Kimball moved to live with his father. And then I saw them every weekend, and there was no problem with that because they'd gotten older and they insisted. And then so that was great. I had them on weekends, and then I would take them to my twin sister's home and my mother's home, and they would play with their cousins.
So that leads me to 2 questions. Now, the first question is this: when raising your kids, when you were raising Tosca, Kimball, and Elon, was there something that you thought you were doing wrong, but today you realized was really, really, really the right path?
No, I can't think of anything. No.
So next question is this.
Obviously nothing, because look at them. I never felt like I was doing something wrong. Why would I do something wrong on purpose,
Yeah, no, I meant back then, if you thought there was something that you couldn't provide them, or there was something that,
I couldn't provide them with luxuries. I didn't care. That doesn't bother me.
And maybe like in that interview, Elon said to Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe that was what gave him his courage, because he realized that you can survive in the United States on $1 a day and not die.
Yeah, my children don't have fear. Yeah, they have fear, like when in the beginning, when the rockets were exploding. I would just want to curl up and cry in the corner, whereas Elon would come out and say, now we find out what went wrong and we will do the next one right. And I thought, what's happening here? So my children don't have much fear. So it's great. And the thing is, what I say in my book too, if you are in a bad situation and then you get out of it, you're going to have a struggle. But if getting out of the bad situation is worse, and there's no hope in in what you've chosen, you can go back to a bad situation. You don't have to, but I never returned to bad situations.
Beautifully said. What was if you had to think about, you've got 3 really strong, remarkable kids. If you had to think about the best advice or the best lessons they shared with you, or the best advice they gave you, what would that be?
I think to write this book, not to write this book, what should be in my book were my struggles. I think that's something that's going to be good, and it won't run out of time. It will be, it will help people to have a better life. I think that's the best advice they've given me recently. Yeah. However, when I said I'm moving back to New York, of course, Elon wants me in Texas. Tosca wants me in Georgia. Kimball already has a home for me in Colorado if I'll move there. And I'm saying, bye-bye. No, I really need to focus on my profession now. I've been spending too much time with grandkids. And luckily, some of them are teenagers. They don't need to spend time with their grandmother.
So I want to ask you this question. I didn't see this in the book, but I'm so curious. what are your spiritual practices like? Like, is it meditation, yoga? What is it? Is there a particular belief? But what do you believe in spiritually, and how do you practice that?
I don't know what you mean. What I believe in is just being kind to people and having a good day. I don't know what else.
I like that. I like that. So compassion,
I
really.
don't-
That's cool.
I tried meditation once. It drove me crazy. I was like, I've got to meditate. I've got to meditate. I can't do that.
I love the honesty of that question. So I'm getting a lot of this question on social media. Okay, so no surprise on this question. It's coming up. I put up a poll on Instagram. What's your biggest question for Maye Musk? And this is the biggest question. So I thought we'll just ask it, even though it's more about Elon. And the question is basically this. You mentioned multiple times that you started seeing the genius in Elon at the age of 3. What did you notice, and what did that make you do differently as a mom?
I noticed that he could reason with me. And if I would say, well, do that, then he would have a better idea, you know, and it was good. So that's why I thought he was so young when he would have a conversation with me that was superior. So that's why I wanted him to go to school at 3, you know, a nursery school. And he didn't want to go. And I said, I don't have enough stimulation around. By then I had 2 others. You know, I had 3 kids in 3 years. So a little sleep deprived and mentally challenged. And yeah, he always was very curious. And when he started reading, anything he read, he memorized. I mean, he knew exactly what he'd read. So when he read the Encyclopedia Britannica, because remember, there's no internet then, these were volumes of books, maybe 40 books or something. He memorized it. Now, the funny thing is, I couldn't afford the Encyclopedia Britannica, so that could also be a reason he went to his father, because he had the whole encyclopedia as well as the Collier's Encyclopedia. And of course, Elon just gets completely absorbed in these books. So when we moved to Canada and Tosca had her first job, the first thing she wanted to do was buy the Encyclopedia Britannica, because she was deprived of that. And so she could buy 1 volume a month from her salary. And so she did it, and she carried those books around with her. She doesn't have them anymore. Eventually, there's no point in carrying.
A beautiful story. You know, yeah. Like my mom is here. Mom, you know, the biggest gift you gave me was the Young Children's Encyclopedia Britannica. I read it like cover to cover, like multiple times.
Yeah.
I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, and my mom was a school teacher, and she saved up to get me that as well.
Yes.
My mom is saying she had to pay by installments too.
Yes.
So parents, I don't think encyclopedias are a big thing right now, but what I'm doing with my kid right now is I actually trust my kid to watch educational videos on YouTube, and he's learning so much from it. My son is 13 years old. He can challenge any adult on science, on geography, on history, because he's just self-educated himself on YouTube.
Isn't that fantastic now? You don't even have, I think Elon has a few honorary doctorates in engineering, but he never got a degree in engineering, but he's a magnificent engineer. And he has said that you don't have to really go to university. If you can't afford it, you can study everything you can on the internet. We're very fortunate. And then you can, you know, be qualified because you can solve problems. But now my problem with that is that I'm a dietitian. I have 2 Master of Science degrees and I follow science. The nonsense out there about diet, food and nutrition and supplements and special juices and all that, it's so much nonsense and very expensive nonsense. And they don't want to follow science anymore.
So I want to bring up another guest over here, Dana Ackerman. So Dana, you put up a question that got a ton of votes. Dana, I'm going to make you a panelist. Okay. And whenever you're ready, whenever you have your webcam ready, pop on live, show us your face, and you get to interview Maye Musk. Hi, Dana.
Hello, Dana.
Nice to see you.
Hello, Maye. Hello, Vishen. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you, Maye. I'm honored to be with you here and that you took the time to come to Mind Valley.
Well,
I'm also
it's great. You know, when he invited me, we were thrilled.
I'm a mother of 3 as well. I have 2 boys and a girl.
Same.
And wow, I mean, you are very inspiring for me. You look gorgeous and you are so full of life and authenticity and open-hearted, and your laugh is amazing.
My children laugh big. We have big laughs together too. Where are you from?
I come originally from Romania, from Transylvania. So you have good connections now there.
Yes.
Is that where you are right now, Dana? Are you in Romania right now?
I am in Germany now. I live in
Okay.
Germany.
Okay. Well, my book, I think, is being published in Romania, but it's also, or it's just now in Germany. It's in German.
This is great. I just
know.
bought.
I'm so thrilled. I think it's going to be so far in 53 countries. So it's being translated all the time.
Incredible. 53
I know.
languages. So Dana, go ahead and ask your question. It's a really, really good question.
My question is, I'm concerned about the personalities, the characters of the children. I see in my children, they are so different. And I was wondering, how did you support the differences and the different characters and personalities in your children?
Yeah, well, I had 3 children with all 3 different personalities completely. And I just let them go their own way, you know. Tosca was always into film. So we said, but she also is an intelligent woman and very strong. And so we thought, well, she should be our lawyer. Well, she couldn't care less about what we think. She went and studied film, and now she's doing what she wants to do. Because before that, she was working with film companies, and then the woman was always tragic, and she doesn't like that. So she's now doing something she really loves. With Kimball, he studied business, and then he went into, you know, business with Elon, starting their first internet company. And he worked, you know, they both worked so hard on all that. And then, you know, but what he really, when they sold their first company, he always loved cooking, and he cooked for us because I'm a bad cook. So then that's why he opened all the farm to table restaurants. He wanted to help the farmers, to come and help them to do that. And then, of course, Elon was really, to me, the genius of the world.
And, me too.
Yeah. So when it was the first company that I invested in, because I didn't have much, but it was, they needed food and, you know, to be able to just have some clothes and a desk and paper, that type of thing. And I didn't have much, but we, you know, when he started the first company, it was door-to-door directions, and then you could click on a link and you could actually go to a restaurant. I mean, that was unheard of. It was bizarre. But to me, it made sense that it would be easier in this world if this happens. So nowadays we take it for granted. But can you imagine the very beginning was people, they went to a meeting, Elon and Kimball, and to invest venture capitalists, and then he grabbed the Yellow Pages book and he says, "You'll never replace this." Now, I'm sure people don't know what the Yellow Pages are. Anyway, so then, and then after that, it was he started PayPal. You know, when he was doing PayPal, then I thought, well, it's ridiculous. You can't send money through an email. It's like the dumbest thing ever. Can you imagine? And then I said, wow, this is great. Then I said, I need to send money to my mom in Canada. So then it became international. I think it's my fault. I don't know if it was me who made him do it, but he certainly had to do it for me. And then when after PayPal was sold, he said, should I do space rockets, or should I do solar panels, or should I do electric cars? And I said, you just do one thing. And he didn't listen to me. So we have it all. He did all 3.
All 3. And I mean,
and
Tesla.
Even now, yeah, I know he was just interviewed in Germany because for the Gigafactory, and they said, where are you sleeping tonight? And he said, in the factory. They said, well, why are you sleeping in the factory? Because that's where you know what's going on. You go to the factory, and he still sleeps in the factories, you know?
This is amazing. I can resonate with those times because everything is developing so fast. And I remember the telephone with the beginnings, dialing, yes. So, wow. So first,
so thank you.
So let your children, just let your children go their own way and develop their own talents, and then they are happier.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So you gave me a lot of courage to trust my children. Yes. And also with whom I work with children with autism and ADHD. So I see a lot of, yeah.
But then they often have talents, like, for example, at school, I was really good at math and science, but there were people who could draw beautifully, and I didn't know how they did it because I had no talent in drawing. And then they became good artists, and I went into sciences. So the thing is, people go in different, and I felt sorry for them because they couldn't do math. And I thought, but it's so easy. So you see, when they thought drawing was easy. So again, if your children have certain talents, let them go in their way, and then they will be happier.
Thank you so much, Dana. That was such a fun question. That's my dad standing in the background. Dad, everybody can see you in the background, so you might as well come up and say hi.
Hello, also the white hair, man.
I was enjoying the conversation.
Good.
Thank you.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Please give some cheers to Dana for asking such a fun question. Dad, you see, like, gray hair can make you look so sexy. Look at that.
You look sexy.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
Dad, do you have a question for Maye Musk?
No, I think Elon Musk is God sent through you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, it certainly was a hard birth. As any mother will contest to giving birth. He had a huge head. Really, you see how big his head is. Yeah. I can still remember that. So
that's hilarious. Thank you, Dad. Okay. So we're in the final. Maye, I love how natural you are, and I love how natural everyone has been. This has been such a fun family conversation. And how cool is it speaking to like someone like you who has done like so much in your 72 years. So, you know, of all the different adventures you've had, all of the different things you've experienced in life, my final question to you is this: in our last 4 minutes or so, if you met a genie and the genie said you could relive 5 minutes of your life, 5 minutes of anything you experienced in life, what would that be if you could relive just 5 minutes?
Well, the 5 minutes is always me with my 3 kids and 12 grandchildren. Every time that happens, it's the most joyous time, and I want to do it again.
How often do you guys come together with 12 grandchildren and 3 kids? Well,
it's not easy nowadays. So it's not that many kids and not all the grandkids. So, so we'll just have to see. You know, it's just weird times now.
Yeah.
But it used to be quite, you know, to have them all together, maybe 3 times a year. But then definitely I see them separately.
So as we go into the final minute, I want to end with just this question. Was there anything that you wish I had asked you but haven't asked you yet? Anything that you'd want to?
Fabulous. I loved your questions, and I loved the questions of your viewers. They really nice people. That's good for you. Wonderful.
Thank you, Maye. Thank you for your legacy on the planet. Thank you for showing up with such beauty, grace, kindness, and compassion. Thank you for instilling that in your children. Thank you for ensuring that you raise children who are compassionate and wanted to heal the world and not evil geniuses. Because imagine if Elon was an evil genius. We'd be freaking screwed.
I would never allow that.
I like the way you just waved your finger. That was very like evil genius of you. You should stroke a white cat as you say that.
No evil. Do no evil. Yeah.